$9 million. That's what American ranchers lost in just 1 year when predators devastated their herds in the darkness. You understand the dedication of families who've worked the same land for generations. Yet these hardworking Americans watched their legacies crumble despite trying every modern solution available. High-voltage fences failed. Guard dogs proved inadequate. Professional hunters offered only temporary relief. Advanced technology that cost fortunes couldn't solve what seemed like an impossible challenge. Then salvation arrived from the most unexpected source imaginable, not from agricultural universities or high-tech laboratories, but from gentle creatures that most ranchers had never seriously considered. These unlikely guardians possessed ancient instincts refined over 5,000 years in harsh mountain environments. Their success rate astounded researchers and transformed skeptical ranchers into believers. What you're about to discover will challenge everything you thought you knew about protecting livestock, and the answer has been hiding in plain sight for centuries. During the day, America's countryside looks peaceful, rolling green pastures, red barns dotting the landscape, cattle and sheep grazing peacefully under blue skies. But when the sun goes down, everything changes. A war begins. Coyotes sneak under fences like thieves in the night. Wolves circle herds with the patience of seasoned hunters. Stray dogs, abandoned by their owners, turn savage. These predators aren't random attackers. They learn your routines. They figure out your defenses, and they come back over and over. For ranchers, the numbers tell a heartbreaking story. Texas alone counted more than $9 million in livestock losses in a single year. Across America, thousands of families quietly shoulder the same burden. Animals gone, income gone. The dream of passing on the family business fading with each attack. But behind those cold numbers are real people facing real heartbreak. John Peterson runs a third-generation ranch in Colorado. He still remembers walking his fields at sunrise, finding his sheep torn apart. Each lamb represented hundreds of dollars, but money wasn't the worst part. When one goes down, it feels like my father's work, my grandfather's work, is being ripped apart, he said. The predators steal more than animals. They steal peace of mind. Ranchers sleep with one ear open, never knowing if tonight's the night they lose everything. Morning becomes a time of dread as farmers count the damage. 3 generations of hard work hang in the balance. Some men start asking questions they never thought they'd face. Am I the one who will let this all end? Will everything collapse on my watch? Most Americans never see this quiet crisis. It's about more than money. It's about identity, about survival, about families trying to hold on to land and traditions while facing an enemy that never stops coming. But those devastating numbers don't tell the whole story. The real suffering shows in the worn faces of farmers who'd tried everything and kept losing. Fighting predators isn't just about money. It's about how much a family can take before they break. John Peterson and thousands like him had tried every defense possible. They spent fortunes on high-voltage fences, only to watch them fail when storms knocked out power or smart coyotes learned to dig underneath. Motion lights and alarms blazed through the night, scaring predators for a week or two before they got used to the noise and shadows. Guard dogs seemed promising at first, but turned into another headache. They needed months of training, constant feeding, and expensive vet bills. For small ranchers already stretched thin, the costs piled up faster than they could pay. Some tried steel traps, checking them every day, hoping to catch a predator before it struck again. But traps often caught harmless wildlife instead, and too often lay empty while sheep still went missing. Others hired professional hunters, or spent their nights patrolling with rifles. The toll was brutal on families. John remembers those sleepless nights clearly, sitting on a dark hillside, shotgun across his knees, every rustle in the grass making his heart race. He'd drag himself home at dawn with bloodshot eyes, collapse for an hour, then get up to handle the day's chores. Despite it all, he'd still find another lamb dead, "I stayed up all night," he said quietly, "and I still failed them." Families started cracking under the pressure. Wives begged their husbands to sell the herd and move to town. Children woke to alarms in the night, scared of the howls outside their windows. Kitchen table conversations changed from dreams of expanding the ranch to whispered fears. Can we make it through another season? Should we sell before we lose everything? For generations, ranching had been more than work. It was who they were, a birthright passed from father to son, mother to daughter. Now these proud families felt themselves breaking under weight they couldn't bear. We worked until our bodies gave out, and the predators kept coming. Losing animals is one thing. Losing hope is another. That's exactly where thousands of ranchers found themselves, standing on the edge of giving up everything their families had built over decades. And then, someone made a suggestion so strange, so unlikely, most farmers laughed out loud. A solution that sounded more like a joke than salvation. The idea spread quietly at first. Whispered conversations at feed stores, county meetings between neighbors who'd lost too much. "Have you tried a llama?" The reaction was always the same. Laughter, head-shaking disbelief. A llama against coyotes? You might as well put a house cat out there and hope for the best. To most Americans, llamas were just those funny-looking animals from South America. Gentle, awkward creatures better suited for petting zoos than midnight battles with predators. But desperate ranchers started experimenting. What they discovered changed everything. Unlike sheep or goats, llamas don't run from trouble. They face it head-on. When a predator enters their territory, a guard llama lets out a piercing alarm call that carries for miles, instantly waking the farmer. Then comes the charge. These animals run straight at intruders, chasing them across rough ground with surprising speed. If the predator doesn't retreat fast enough, the real punishment begins. Front hooves that can break bones, bites and kicks delivered with force that few coyotes can survive. Even more important, llamas bond with their flocks like protective parents. Within hours or days, they recognize every sheep and goat as their responsibility. Any strange dog, whether coyote or stray, becomes the enemy. Unlike guard dogs that need months of expensive training and sometimes turn on the animals they're supposed to protect, llamas know their job instinctively. The results spoke for themselves. A study from Iowa showed predator attacks dropping from 21% of herds down to just 7%. Some ranches saw losses fall to nearly zero. One male llama could protect up to 300 sheep across open pasture. For John Peterson, the change was immediate and dramatic. The night we brought him in, the coyotes stopped. Not fewer attacks, not reduced losses, stopped completely. For the first time in years, we woke up and every animal was still there. Word spread like wildfire across ranch country, from Montana down to Texas. The laughter turned to amazement as ranch after ranch saw the same incredible transformation. What had sounded like a desperate joke became the salvation they'd been praying for. Do you think traditional solutions like these animals are smarter than high-tech methods? But llamas weren't the only animals from South America about to change American ranching forever, and their smaller cousins had something just as valuable to offer, though in a completely different way. While llamas earned their reputation as nighttime guardians, their smaller cousins, the alpacas, offered something equally important for struggling ranchers. At first glance, they look similar. Both trace their roots to the towering Andes Mountains, both domesticated by ancient civilizations over 5,000 years ago. But their purposes split long ago. Llamas were bred for size, strength, and that fierce protective instinct. Alpacas were shaped for something entirely different. Fiber so incredibly soft and fine that Inca emperors called it the fiber of the gods. Unlike their larger cousins, alpacas aren't natural fighters. They lack the height and aggressive territorial instincts that make llamas such formidable guardians. But alpacas provide something just as crucial for ranch survival. Economic stability that comes from their amazing fleece. This isn't ordinary wool. Alpaca fiber is warmer than sheep's wool, but lighter on your skin. It doesn't cause allergic reactions like other wools do. It comes in over 20 natural colors, from pure white to rich chocolate brown. In textile markets around the world, this fiber commands premium prices that make designers' eyes light up. For centuries in South America, alpaca fiber kept entire mountain communities alive and thriving. Today, it remains the backbone of Andean economies. In 2024 alone, Peru exported more than $765 million in alpaca textiles. Everything from luxury sweaters to tailored business suits. Fashion houses in Paris and New York place alpaca right alongside cashmere and silk. For North American farmers facing uncertain times, raising alpacas opened new doors. Beyond the valuable fleece, alpacas offered diversification, an alternative income when cattle prices dropped or predator losses mounted high. Some families who might have abandoned their land altogether found that alpacas gave them reason to stay and fight. Their smaller size made them easier to manage than cattle. Their calm, gentle nature suited family farms perfectly, and their fiber opened doors to both local craft markets and international buyers willing to pay top dollar. Sometimes alpacas even help with security in small flocks. While not as aggressive as llamas, their alert presence alone can scare off stray dogs or sound the alarm when trouble approaches. But their greatest strength lies in what they produce, not what they fight. So llamas and alpacas became perfect partners. The llama stands guard in the darkness, ensuring safety through the night. The alpaca fills barns with valuable fleece, ensuring prosperity through the year. Together, they created exactly what modern ranchers desperately needed. Not just protection, but sustainability. A balance of survival and growth that could secure family farms for the next generation. But when scientists looked closer at these remarkable animals, they discovered something even more amazing. These creatures carry ancient wisdom written into their very biology, with lessons that reach far beyond any pasture. Comment 1 if you liked the video, and comment 0 if not. Long before American ranchers discovered their value, llamas and alpacas were the lifeline of mountain civilizations. To the Inca Empire, they were more than just animals. They were walking wealth, reliable transport, warm clothing, and even sacred symbols of spiritual power. Llamas carried precious goods across dangerous mountain passes. Alpacas clothed emperors in garments reserved only for royalty. These weren't just useful animals to the Incas. They were considered sacred gifts from the gods. Centuries later, their legacy continues in ways no one could have imagined. Scientists studying llama biology made an incredible breakthrough hidden in their blood. Tiny antibodies, called nanobodies, that can slip through barriers in the human body too small for regular antibodies. Today, researchers are developing these nanobodies to fight Alzheimer's disease, cancer, and even COVID-19. The same protective instincts that guarded herds for thousands of years might one day help save human lives. Their environmental benefits are just as remarkable. Compared to cattle and sheep, llamas and alpacas produce about 45% less methane, making them gentler on our planet. Their soft, padded feet don't tear up pastures like cattle hooves do, preventing soil erosion that damages land for future generations. They need less water, thrive on sparse vegetation, and actually leave grasslands healthier than they found them. But perhaps their greatest lesson isn't scientific or economic. It's philosophical. In our age of computers and high-tech solutions, it wasn't machines, electric fences, or weapons that saved American farms. It was the natural instincts of animals, shaped by thousands of years of evolution. It was nature's wisdom, not human invention, that offered the breakthrough ranchers needed most. For John Peterson and countless others like him, this realization carries deep meaning. We thought we needed something new and complicated, he said. Turns out, the answer was older than any of us. What began as desperation became redemption. Ranchers who once stood ready to walk away from their family legacy now carry those traditions forward with confidence, thanks to guardians that never call in sick, never get tired, and never forget their purpose. True protection isn't just about survival. It's about respect. Respect for tradition, respect for balance, respect for the intelligence that nature has been teaching us for centuries. Sometimes the best solutions aren't new inventions at all, but rediscovering what worked perfectly long before we were born. The next time you drive past rolling pastures dotted with peaceful livestock, remember the quiet guardian standing watch. In our rush toward complex answers, salvation came from ancient wisdom. Proof that American ingenuity sometimes means being wise enough to learn from the past. But while llamas and alpacas restored peace to ranchers, another battle rages across America's farmland. This time, the enemy isn't coyotes or wolves, but millions of wild boars tearing through cornfields with devastating force. Click video on the screen to discover the next episode.